Thanksgiving can't possibly be over when you got a card like UFC or in Orlando coming up this Saturday night. What's up, 10-8 fans? I am Zach from Filthy Philadelphia, joined by the handsome, the currently caffeinated John Boy down there in sunny Fort Lauderdale. John Boy, did I hear you correctly? You're rocking a Red Bull right now?
I am. It's 9:30 p.m. and I do it for the fans. I do it for the fans. I was hitting a lull. I needed a little bit of a pick me up. I want the energy to be there today. We're not playing games tonight.
I love that. I love that energy. I'm gonna actually hit you in a different direction though.
Okay.
I'm gonna pop open the CBD. As you know, I'm fresh off the mats with the North Star homies. They're giving me that work. They're keeping me honest. I need to take care of the temple here. I need a little calm me down fuel.
Keep the swelling down, keep the relaxation up, and that's what
Yeah,
that's what Killer Cliff's for, baby.
that's it. That's it. That's what Kill Cliff CBD is all about. So let's okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. There's a rumor that there's fights this weekend.
I've also heard this. There's also a rumor that I will be in attendance for these fights at the Amway Center.
You dirty dog. You may not be able to see it through these yellow glasses, but I am just fucking green with envy that you're going to be at this card because this is a banger. Before we get into it,
Hmm.
did you watch PFL on Black Friday?
I did not.
Yeah, I didn't either. I
I
had
did
I had
not.
great I had great intentions to watch PFL, and then just like the most minuscule life event got in the way, and I was like, well, PFL can wait.
Yeah, no, very similar. I did check it out, right? Like I looked on Twitter. I wanted the updates. I was curious to see what happened, how it unfolded, but I could give two shits to tune in.
I mean, if there's anything to recap, I think from PFL, first of all, give a big shout out to the homie Olivier Aubin Mercier,
Ooh,
$1 million richer.
the boy.
Love that energy.
Yep.
And then Kayla Harrison takes an L.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
It's right. We didn't see it coming. It was a weird one. I don't know too much about the opponent, to be fair, which also isn't really a good look. But it's weird. How is the media angle that this somehow made the Cyborg fight a better option now? How is that somehow becoming what we got out of this fight?
the
Can you
the
explain that?
closest that I can come to understanding that, and for the fans who haven't kept up on PFL, first of all, I understand, we understand. But after Kayla Harrison takes her first loss in MMA, the head of PFL comes out and says that he thinks now the Cyborg fight, meaning Chris Cyborg Justino, one of the baddest women to ever step in the cage, that
Yep.
fight is somehow now more likely. And the best that I can work out to understanding it is that now that Kayla Harrison has taken an L,
Hmm.
maybe she's ready to start like actually challenging and pushing herself, because let's be honest, she has been big fish small ponding PFL since she got there.
Of
Like,
course.
and this loss honestly may have been, I don't want to call it an aberration, I don't want to take anything away from her opponent, but I
Yeah.
think maybe is not the norm for Kayla Harrison. So maybe the thought process is now she's ready to start really challenging and pushing herself, and that's why they're thinking the Cyborg fight's going to happen. That requires some intellectual jujitsu. I don't know that I all the way understand it, but that's as close as I can get to understanding it.
I know what you're saying. It makes sense from a motivation standpoint, right? When you're just kicking cans, you can. It's easy to kind of just get into that routine. Maybe this lights a fire under her ass. I don't know how much more I want to see the Cyborg fight from a fan perspective. But if that's the motivation she needs, and they think that that's a warranted fight to make now, shit, I'll tune in. I guess I'll tune in anytime Cyborg fights. Though, to be honest, she's the A side, right?
Exactly. She's the A side. My question is this: with Bellator doing their cross promotion with Ryzen on 12/31, is Scotty Cokes thinking maybe a PFL Bellator cross promotion is on the horizon? And if that's the case, you can sign me the fuck up.
They should
I
do it. They should do a triple up. We should do a little triple threat.
I'd be all about it. But when I look at like getting aside from one for a second, but looking at just like the underling promotions, I think PFL and Bellator have the most ex UFC fighters. They have the most talent. after the UFC. So I think that cross promotion has a lot of road for fun fights, for interesting fights. Sign me the fuck up for that.
Yeah, I feel like all of those smaller promotions kind of banding together would be, it would be a win-win for all of them, right?
Yeah,
It's basically all of us against the UFC from that perspective. So it's like, why not?
exactly.
Why not pool together all of the fan bases, get together and make something happen?
Yeah, exactly. Let's make something happen here. I mean, everybody's trying to compete with the UFC. Pool those resources. Do something different. Bring back the round robin tournaments. Bring back all that fun gimmicky shit, and let's fucking get after it. You can have my money because I'm going to tell you what pissed me off.
Uh-huh.
So I didn't realize it at the time. PFL was charging for that Black Friday card, like $50.
That makes even more sense why I didn't see it, but yeah.
Yeah, I got home late Friday. I went to tune into it. It was like $50. I was like, I'm not going to pay $50 for
No
this. I
shot.
wouldn't have caught the whole card. And even if I had, not going to pay $50 for a PFL card.
Nope.
But the next day, I go to UFC or I go to ESPN Plus to watch the replay, and they're
Mhm.
still trying to charge me $50 to watch the replay.
Yeah, it's absurd.
You must be outside your fucking mind. I'm not paying $50 for PFL when it's live. If you think I'm paying $50 for a replay, I want whatever you were smoking. I'll take $10 worth. Because
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I barely even watch like the 5-second clip highlights of the PFL on Twitter that are taken from like these sketchy accounts that are filming the pay-per-view.
yeah,
So yeah, let's think outside the box here, PFL. Let's throw a wrench into things and let's change it up
exactly.
because the traction's just not there.
Exactly.
It's
And
not.
I I miss the days of Pride. I miss the days of the super fights. I
Mhm.
miss the weird shit, man. I really do. Bring it back. You know what, guys? All these underling promotions, let's join hands. Let's get weird with it. Let's give people something to tune in for. Let's do this, PFL and Bellator. Give us a call. We're ready to talk. We're ready to help you guys out.
Fuck yeah, dude. Say less, really.
The 10-8's here for you.
Bingo.
Well,
Now,
we've spent what, 5 minutes talking about PFL? That seems like too much.
yeah, 5 minutes too much. Exactly.
Let's let's give some truth to the rumor that there's fights this weekend and that you're going to be in attendance. UFC Orlando. What's up?
Yeah, man. I don't put on the Anakin Skywalker retro to talk about PFL. This is for UFC Orlando, baby. This is a firecracker card. I think you could make the argument. I don't even think you can make the argument. This is the truth. This is the best non-pay-per-view card that the UFC has put on this year. I'm not saying that because I'm biased. I am biased. But if you look at this thing on paper, whoo, baby, it is stacked top to bottom.
Yeah, this card is
Bangers.
this
Bangers.
card is just absolute gas. And it isn't it always the way, or doesn't it always seem to be the way lately that the UFC kind of like fight night cards just end up being absolutely gas? I feel like there have been better fight nights this year, like month to month, than there have been UFC pay-per-views, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's always the ones you sleep on, right? The low expectations when you go into it with nothing to expect and then bang. But
Yeah.
this one, I'll be honest though, this one, the name value is there, right?
Yeah.
The name these guys. These guys have all fought on big pay-per-view cards. They've all been in big spots. And a lot of them are finishers too. A lot of these fights are going to get finished. I think there's going to be a lot of inside the distance props that are going to make sense. This is going to be a fun card to get into. I'm excited.
Let's let's start right at the top. Let's start right with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on UFC Batman Trailblaze to the top, Kevin Holland.
You know what I'm going to say? I'm a little bit surprised by this line.
Do you want me to guess the favorite?
Guess the favorite,
All right.
and we'll see if we're on the same page with this one because it at first glance, this one surprised me a bit.
I'm gonna say Kevin Holland is the favorite.
He is.
Okay.
He's minus 165 in that
Okay.
minus 170 territory, like verging on a 2-1. I don't know. I don't know if I can get to that number. I think it's more around even money, a flip of a coin type thing. Clearly, Stephen Thompson's the better striker on the feet, right? He's coming off of losses to Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, who just held him down. They took him down, neutralized him against the fence for the entire fight. Holland's a good striker, but I think Thompson's going to have his number on the feet. It'll be interesting to see if Big Mouth tries to wrestle. I feel like he might have an avenue there. We know he's been working on his wrestling game. It being a 5-rounder, though, makes it even more interesting because I feel like the grappling is less advantageous for Holland to use just because of the gas tank over the course of 5 rounds. So my read on this fight is I like Wonder Boy at plus money.
That's interesting. So I'm a Wonder Boy fan from way back in the day, right? I've been a Stephen Wonder Boy Thompson fan for a long time. For a long time, he and Lyoto Machida were really the only two karate guys, and even now there haven't been many in their wake. They're probably the two biggest name fighters in the UFC who have a pure karate background. And I like that. I like that traditional style. And Stephen Thompson, even more so than Lyoto Machida, really fights in that like sideways karate stance. I said to you pre-show that I wish this fight had been made like, maybe 3 to 5 years ago, because Stephen Thompson is now 39 years old. He's coming off of 2 losses. He had a win and then he had another 2 losses. So if you really start to stretch out his last 5 fights, I think you're looking at a guy who is on the tail end of his career. And it's been a pretty good career. Like there's a lot of good things to say about Stephen Thompson. I feel like 3 to 5 years ago, these two, Kevin Holland's kung fu background, Stephen Thompson's karate background, they would have had a banger on the feet. I'm a little worried now that Thompson may be past his prime. That being said, I think you're right. I think 5 rounds might really change how we look at this one. And if you look at Kevin Holland's losses, he has 5 decision like UD losses. So Stephen Thompson can get in there and karate point him over 5 rounds and steal this fight, 3 or 4 rounds and end up getting, I think, a UD. I think that's absolutely possible. So I wasn't sure how I was feeling about this one, but listening to your analysis, I think you might have talked me into it. I might be rocking with you on a Wonder Boy here.
Yeah, I feel like 3 years ago, Kevin Holland was a way different fighter. I feel like he's matured a lot. I feel like this is a better time in his career to be fighting a guy like Stephen Thompson, obviously because Thompson's getting up there in age. But like I said before, man, Thompson's past 2 losses are against grapplers. And the common theme with this sport is matchups, man. And if you have a good matchup, it makes all the difference. And I think Stephen Thompson matches up well here. I think you're going to expect Holland to lean on him on the cage, right? He's going to get inside. He's going to try and close the distance as best as possible. But I haven't seen a lot of guys do it well with Stephen Thompson. We saw Vicente Luque get absolutely mauled by Wonder Boy. And you could make the argument that Luque is a better striker than Holland. Yeah, man, I feel good about it. The read's there. I'm going to go with Wonder Boy at plus 145. Started off with a dog. I think the dogs are going to be barking, to be quite honest, on this one.
I like that. And then I've been a Wonder Boy guy for a long time. And then, I don't know if I told you about this one. So when I was at the UFC kind of fan event at Fight Week, I had gotten in line to meet Anthony Smith, Lionheart. But Stephen Thompson happened to be wrapping up like a meet and greet at the time.
Yeah.
And literally like security guards had to like escort him out, not because of anything wrong. He just would not stop meeting fans.
Yeah.
Like, there was a line, the time had expired. They explained to everybody, like, look, if you're not at this point in the line, you're not going to meet Stephen Thompson. And Stephen Thompson was like, no, bring another one through. No, come on over here. Like, was just like a legitimately good human being, as you'd expect him to be, which made me love him that much more. So from an emotional pull, from a logical pull, I'm with you. I think the 10-8 rides with the Wonder Boy this weekend, and I love it. I'm fucking here for it.
Yeah, no, you just get that vibe with him. There's so much footage of him online too. He's got a podcast, so many interviews. He's been in the limelight for so long, and I can't remember one instance where he rubbed me the wrong way. The
Yeah.
guy is just a good dude. It's hard to not root for him. The 10-8 round podcast is riding with Wonder Boy this week. I think it's going to be a good fight, though. I think it's going to be very, very competitive. It could even be like I could see a split decision. We'll look at the prop on a split decision, but I could see this one being really, really greasy.
I like that. I
Yeah,
like where your head's at this week, John Boy. It seems like you really kind of just
I'm
that red
dialed.
that
I'm
red
dialed.
it's got it hit a live wire in you, and I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah, I'm very dialed this week. I'm going to be in attendance, Zach. No slacking off.
Listen, I am jealous. I expect a lot of pictures, maybe a 10-8 guest out of it. You are a charming son of a bitch, you know.
Wow. Wow.
Who you going with? Who's
Gas
the
me up.
crew? Who you bringing?
Gas me up. The boy Eli, Fight Squad boy Eli is going to be pulling up. And then the boy Connor Scholl is going to be making an appearance. A high school buddy of mine's making the trip up.
Ooh, now that's a 10-8 fan from way back. Connor Scholl is a 10-8 fan.
You know Connor. You know Connor.
That bull is wild, as we would say in Philly. That's a wild bull. I love it.
It's gonna be a dangerous group to say the least.
I love it. Let's
go down the card, baby. Let's go to the co-main event.
Brian Barberina and RDA or Rafael dos Anjos. This is another fun one. I don't know that it belongs at the co-main event, especially looking at the rest of the card.
Yeah.
But I think there's some merit to it being a fun fight. I don't think it's a co-main event, but it's a fun fight.
I wanna say I agree with you. I think it's a really big mismatch. Brian, all right, we'll just start off like this. What do you think the odds are on it? And then we'll dissect it from there.
It's, looking at the record
this week.
Looking at the records, I think the record would tell me that Barberina would be the favorite, but I am so hard pressed to believe that in this fight, Rafael dos Anjos would not be the favorite. So I'm going to guess that the favorite is RDA.
He's the biggest favorite on the card.
Okay.
Minus 525, almost over 5-1 favorite. And I'll tell you what, I think it's justified.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. I think if you look at just the past resumes, right? Barberina's coming off of a knockout win over Robbie Lawler. The majority of that fight looked like it played out in quicksand because these guys are so old and past their prime. Tremendous damage between the two of those guys that have added up, especially Barberina, some of the wars he's been in. RDA is coming off of Moicano, and then his last fight was Rafael Fiziev, 5-rounder. He was winning the fight, and then he gets clipped in the 5th round and gets knocked out and loses. This is going to be a 3-rounder. I think RDA is going to wrestle. I think he's going to take Barberena down at will. Barberena might be able to get up, but I think he's just going to get dumped right back on his head. I really don't see how RDA loses this fight other than just like a lucky right hand. I don't the volume accumulation I don't see over the course of 3 rounds. He's not the better striker. I don't see any avenue for Barberena other than just MMA being a cruel fucking sport.
That's fair.
That's it.
That is fair. Yeah, but you know what though? Being that it's a 3-round fight, and Brian Barberina being the brawler that he is, that's when it happens, right? A 3-rounder with a brawler like Barberina is when it happens. Because there's no 5th round, there's no championship rounds to worry about. This is just, Barberina, I think, is going to be all gas, no brakes. I agree with you that RDA is a rightful favorite. I think he should be a favorite. I don't know. I got a worrisome feeling here. Maybe it's because I was there when he knocked out Robbie Lawler. I got a worrisome feeling that Barberina is just notching legends in his belt who are slightly past their prime. It's a gut feeling. It's not based on logic, but I'm worried.
Yeah, I just think to engage in that brawl format, you're going to need a guy who's willingful to engage with you. And I just think RDA has the tools to take this to a place that'll kind of just negate, what Barberena's good at, his bread and butter of just making things dirty. I like RDA to roll here. I think he's probably too high for me to touch at minus 525 in terms of value. But like if you're playing DraftKings, I think takedown. He's going to score a lot of points. I don't think you're going to have to sweat. I think Vegas has got it right. And I think RDA gets this done. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision, 30-27, even 30-26 with a 10-8 in there somewhere.
Did you say willingful?
What do you mean?
Do you use the word willingful?
I don't believe so. In what context?
I think you said willingful. I think you did say willingful. It's all right. I think you might have said willingful there.
It's possible. It could have been in the cards, but
listen, you know what? I like it. I may put that in the Rolodex. Willingful to engage. I would have thought it was willing to engage, but I
willingness to engage.
Willingness to engage. That works too. Are you willingful to talk about Matthias Nicolau versus Matt Schnell?
I love this fight.
It's a fun one.
This is a low key sleeper. This is a banger fight for people that aren't like huge MMA fans. This is one to tune into. These guys both crack. Matthias Nicolau is one of my favorite guys to watch fight at 135 pounds. Matt Schnell is no slouch. Super, super good guy, but he is a little bit chinny. And that's where the concern comes for me with the durability here. You have an idea of who the favorite is in this one?
I'm going to say the favorite is Nicolau.
You'd be correct. Okay. Minus 380. I think the price tag is rightfully so. It's deserved for Nicolau. Schnell called him out in his last fight. He fought Sumadarji. It was an incredible fight. I don't know if you remember that one.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I think it won. It definitely is in play for fight of the year. It should be if it's not. Schnell was out on his feet a couple times in that fight.
Yeah, this was a fight of the year candidate right there. This was an absolutely insane crackerjack fight. To be out on your feet, the referee
multiple times.
I mean, Matt Schnell should have been. When people tell me that Sean Brady was rightfully stopped against Bilal Muhammad, I point them to Matt Schnell versus Sumadarji, and I say, you ain't ever out of there. You ain't ever out of there.
Yeah, no, that's a fight that would have been stopped by half the referees, and then the other half would have let it go. It's one of those ones where it's a super gray area. We're thankful that they let it go on because it ended up being just an absolute war that was awesome to watch.
Yeah,
ton of heart on display. Just shows the type of person that Matt Schnell is. With that being said, I think Nicolau sleeps him. I think he catches him with something early. If he doesn't put him away by knockout, he'll clip him, get him to the ground, and sub him. I think Nicolau is a parlay piece. I think he's a safe play. He's my most secure pick, I would say, the one that I feel the least unsafe playing, even at minus 380. I know that's a little bit high. I just like Nicolau, man. The durability, the striking, the wrestling. This guy could be fighting for the 135-pound belt relatively soon.
Yeah, I think
soon.
Matt Schnell
125 maybe
is a great fighter and has a lot of heart. And obviously, I mean, to get Sumadarji in a triangle choke when you are legitimately unconscious is part that I don't have the words to describe, but I think you're right. I think Nicolau is the right play here. I mean, if you look at Schnell, he's been kind of a middling guy in the division. He puts together a few wins, he takes a few losses, puts together a few wins, takes a few losses.
Yeah.
He's been knocked out 3 times. He's been submitted twice, so there's arguments there, but I mean, shit, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that fight against Sumadarji awoke something new in Matt Schnell. But that's going to be a good fight either way. I think that's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. I think that's got fight of the night potential written all over it.
Yeah, I agree. I think Schnell, win or lose, is a fight of the night kind of guy. I think Nicolau is going to meet him where he lives, and I think those boys are going to have themselves just an absolute crackerjack. Um, well, you want to talk about a fall from grace? You want to talk about the the next fight, Tai to Ivasa?
I
Take,
wouldn't I wouldn't say too much of a fall from grace.
I mean, was he not just a main event on a Parisian card against Cyril Gahn?
He was. He was, but he's fighting a guy in Sergey Pavlovich who is got contender written all over him, right? I mean, Sergey Pavlovich wins this fight, and you're talking about a guy who's possibly next in line for a number one contender fight.
Yeah, Sergey Pavlovich is a scary, scary dude too.
Scary guy. A lot of guys turned down to fight him, is what kind of the UFC has been saying. Not a lot of guys wanted this fight. And I mean, leave it to Tai Tuivasa to accept it, right? He would fight anybody. He's just that type of dude. You have an idea who Vegas likes here?
I think Vegas likes Sergey Pavlovich.
They do. They do. He's minus 225. Bam Bam Tuivasa plus 185. This should play out on the feet. They should play out on the feet. Pavlovich obviously would be the one to wrestle if an opportunity presented itself, but he's not really known for that. Anytime a fight is on the feet with Tai Tuivasa, I mean, we saw him clip Cyril Gahn, right? We saw him put Gahn on shaky legs, and not even Francis Ngannou could do that.
Exceptionally shaky legs, like shaky to the point that we kind of thought Tai was about to shock the world for a second there.
Yeah, like you're holding a Cyril Gahn ticket, you're shitting your pants in that moment, right? I mean, Cyril Gahn, huge favorite. I think it was upwards of -5, -600 in that fight. And Tuivasa, sure enough, catches him with the right hand. And Gahn said after the fight that Tuivasa was the hardest hitting fighter that he had ever fought. And Cyril Gahn has fought some fucking monsters, right? Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou, we could name a ton. So, I mean, it's tough anytime Tuivasa's on the feet. There's no doubting his heart. This is a tough one for me, man. I don't like betting against guys who are willing to go out on their shield. I don't know if I can get to the 225 price tag, but if I had a gun to my head, I'm probably going Pavlovich here just because the ceiling's higher, right? Like if he wins this fight, there's a potential that he could make his way up a little bit more. I think we've seen the ceiling on Tuivasa. So for that reason, I lean Pavlovich, but I don't think I'm going to invest anything into that.
No, I agree with you. I think if you're betting Tai Tuivasa, you're betting with your heart, not your head. And I want to be clear, I don't blame you for that, right? Like I get it.
Of
Tai
course.
Tuivasa, I think is a slightly more, I don't want to say talented. Talented is not the right word, but maybe just a slightly more skilled version of Derek Lewis, right? There's not a lot of like, you're not going to point at a lot of style in this guy as an MMA fighter. He's a brawler through and through, and Tai will be the first to say that he's a brawler. But I think he's a brawler with a little bit more style than Derek Lewis, but he's in that same sort of ilk as Derek Lewis, where it's like, okay, yeah, they're just going to keep feeding him guys that are rightful favorites. And logically, you're thinking this guy's going to lose, but a right hand from Bam Bam Tuivasa, bro, and it's lights out. It's night over. It's done. It's, it's slow singing and flower bringing. If Tai puts his fucking right hand on you, he's drinking a shoey in the crowd. So if you're betting Tai, you're betting with your heart. I don't blame you for it, but I mean, Sergey Pavlovich he's like a fucking Terminator. I mean, this guy is terrifying. He is a scary, scary dude. So I think the logical bet is Sergey, but I don't blame you for laying off this one. It's too many question marks around this one.
And the reason, the big question mark for me, the reason I'm laying off of it, and the reason I think Tuivasa sets himself apart from Derek Lewis is the heart, because he could take a beating in the first round and he's not going to go anywhere, right? He's going out on his shield. Lewis hits a little bit of adversity and he starts to kind of mail it in. You're not going to get that with Tuivasa. And that's been another common theme besides matchups, is you want guys who are literally willing to die in there and leave a piece of themselves in the ring. And Tuivasa has that written all over him, man. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and for that reason alone, I'm not going to bet against him.
Yeah.
But Pavlovich definitely has all the tools to get this done.
He's got the tools to get it done. I mean, he has his last win is over Derek Lewis. So clearly he knows the formula for brawlers. But again, I agree with you. I think you're 100% right. I mean, Tai Tuivasa, I think, has a little bit more heart than Lewis. He doesn't melt under adversity. He keeps moving forward. It's something about those big Samoan fighters. Tuivasa comes from a long line of them. He's, he calls Mark Hunt, I think, his uncle. I mean, these guys are just big, mean, nasty brawlers, and they're going to fight till somebody tells them it's over. Whether they win or lose, they're going to keep fucking fighting, man. They're built too different. So, yeah, I'm just too much of a Tai Tuivasa fan to bet against him. This household right here, this one that I'm sitting in right now, we're Tai Tuivasa fans. And if you think I love Tai, you think I love Bam Bam, our legal department will die for Tai Tuivasa. That is her favorite heavyweight by a mile.
Is she ripping any shoeys after the Tai fights?
She might rip a shoey. Let's not. Our legal department comes from Florida. A shoey is considered kind of a classy move for her.
Oh, okay. That makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real about it. She would rip a shoey with Tai Tuivasa in a skinny minute, brother.
I love that.
You want to? I mean, just another great fight. We got Jack Hermanson, Roman Dolidze.
Yep, Roman Dolidze coming off of a nasty knockout win over Phil Hawes. I believe that was like 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Made quick work of Phil Hawes. Hermanson was supposed to fight Dricus du Plessis, I believe. He was supposed to fight somebody else, and it fell out, and Dolidze stepped in on short notice. This is an interesting fight. You have an idea of who the favorite is here?
I think the favorite's Jack Hermanson.
You'd be correct.
Okay.
Minus 180. Roman Dolidze plus 150 coming off the quick turnaround. Yeah, I like Jack Hermanson here. I think you had the right read on him being the favorite. I think the quality of competition that he's had is massively better than Roman Dolidze's. This is a big step up in competition.
Yeah.
Jack Hermanson probably smokes Phil Hawes, right? So it's not that wouldn't be that surprising to me. It is a 3-round fight. I think that's in the favor of Roman Dolidze, just because we know Jack Hermanson could go forever. But yeah, I'll keep this nice short and sweet. I think Jack Hermanson's got more tools. I think the volume's eventually going to catch up. And I like Jack Hermanson here. I'm going to go with the Joker at minus 180.
Yeah, I'm a big Jack Hermanson fan. I have been since he got to the UFC. I think he's one of those guys. It's just like his progress seems to get derailed. I don't know that he'll ever be the top of the division, but he'll always be kind of in the conversation for the top of the division. And his wins, I mean, he's got some big wins, and his losses are all to like legit, right? Split decision with Sean Strickland, UD with Marvin Vittori. He got stopped by Cannonier.
The Strickland split decision was god awful. That was a UD, but yeah.
Yeah. But again, right? I mean, it's a loss like Sean Strickland, who was up until July was talking about fighting, Israel Adesanya, right? So Hermanson is a guy who's really fought a lot of legit dudes.
He actually headlined the last Sunrise card, the BB&T Center. That's like 20 minutes from me. He headlined that against Jacare Souza when Souza was the man too, right? He was a favorite in that fight, and Hermanson upset him, and he did it pretty handily. He made it look pretty easy. Yeah, I'm riding with the Joker, and I feel pretty good about it too.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I'm going to ride with the Joker. I like that. Easy peasy. You want to get right into another heater. Eric Anders and Kyle Dawkins.
And the crazy part too is it gets even better somehow as we go down the card. Yeah, your boy Eric Anders, Alabama alum, linebacker on one of the national championship football teams, versus your Philly boy Kyle Dawkins.
Right, the Darce Knight, baby.
Yeah,
Kyle
the
Dawkins.
Darce Knight. I like Kyle Dawkins. You think Vegas is siding with Philly here or what?
I think Vegas is siding with Anders.
No, they got Dawkins minus 230.
Do they? Interesting.
Relatively large favorite. I know that kind of surprised me as well. I think Dawkins is the rightful favorite. I think he has more tools to win the fight, but both of these guys are a little bit awkward. Like they have this. It's not like a super fluid stance. They kind of stand upright. They don't have great defense. And for that reason, Eric Andrews plus 190. I might take a flyer on that.
You love betting against Philadelphia. I don't know what it is. You just love betting against Philadelphia. I think you just love to see the pain in my eyes. You just love to watch my heart break.
It's just if you give me a number like that, it's almost like an auto play where it's like you're going to give me 2-1 odds on a you were surprised. You thought Anders was the favorite going
I
into this,
did.
right?
I did, but
So
I'm still never going to bet against Philadelphia.
no, of course I understand you're going with your heart here, but I just a 2-1. I haven't seen enough from Kyle Dawkins to warrant that price tag. I don't really know where that's coming from. I do think he's the better fighter. I do think he should win this fight, but I just think it's mislined. I don't think he wins at that percentage rate. Minus 230 is pretty steep, man.
That is,
You know, when you go down this card, he's a decently big favorite on here. He's one of the biggest favorites on the card. For that reason, I can't get to Dawkins. If you want to ride Philly and go down with the ship, I completely get that. You know, you ride with the boys till the wheels fall off.
I'm nothing if not loyal, John Boy. You know that. I'm nothing if not loyal.
And that's an attribute that I admire, and that's an attribute that I respect. But with that being said, I'll probably lay off this fight if we're being completely honest. But if I had to bet it, I'm going to take the flyer on your boy at plus 190.
Yeah, I get it. I do get it. I don't like it. I get it. I'm gonna lay off it as well because if I think I jinxed one of my guys, I can't sleep that night. So I'm gonna lay off that as well. Yeah, I mean the Darce Knight, Martinez, BJJ, big time guy. I'm pulling for him, pulling for the Darce Knight, and we'll kind of just see where that one shakes out. I also and I've said this on the show before, and I don't really have like a super justifiable reason for it. I just fucking hate Eric Anders.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like him. I don't like him.
Interesting.
Yeah, I just do not like him.
He had a lot of hype, right? I was at the Rafael Natal fight back in Long Island. We're going back years now. And
on Long Island, John Boy, on Long Island.
It was a Long Island card. It was at the Nassau Coliseum. That's what we'll say.
Barn. Got it.
Eric Anders, there was a lot of hype behind him. The UFC had high hopes for him, right? Athletic background, national championship. He had the media presence, and he just really hasn't panned out. He really hasn't. I'm going to take the flyer here, though. I am.
Well, I'll have my phone on Do Not Disturb during that fight. So
next fight.
You want to talk Nico Price, Philip Rowe?
Ooh.
I'm a Nico Price guy.
And
I like the hybrid.
And I'm a Philly Fresh guy.
You are a Philly Fresh guy. Philly Fresh, not from Philly. I don't feel the pull here.
The Fresh Prince of Bel Air, Philly Rowe. Yeah. This is another fight of the night. This is another fight of the night one right here. These guys bang right here.
It absolutely is.
You have an idea who Vegas likes?
I'm gonna say Vegas likes Nico Price.
They do. Minus 145. Rose sitting at plus 125. I get the price tag just based off of Nico Price past opponents, right? Quality of competition for Nico Price is head and shoulders above Philip Rowe. I just like Philip Rowe, though. I like the way he fights. He keeps distance. He's nasty. He's not bad on the feet. He was doing a lot of BJJ competition, so he's pretty well-rounded. I don't know if Price takes it there. I think this is going to stay on the feet. Price is a little bit chinny as well. When he gets clipped, he starts to get a little bit of Bambi legs. The minus 145 isn't a bad number on him. Philip Rowe plus 125. I feel like it should be a little bit higher, but I do like Rowe here. And just for the sole fact that I like the potential in Philly Fresh, I'm going to ride with Philip Rowe here as another underdog pick.
I'm gonna ride with Nico Price. I've ridden with him ever since that upkick victory over James Vick. Um, he's just a weird fighter. He's a tough fucking guy. He's got it. He literally, when you talk about somebody who can finish you from everywhere, I mean, he has a knockout from his back, right?
He
So
has the Randy Brown hammer fist from his
the
back.
Randy, yeah, the Randy Brown hammer fist from his back, the up kick over James Vick. I mean, he just a weird fighter, just not any quitting him. I'm riding with Nico Price. I like Nico Price on this one.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad play. I think the number's fair. I think it's a good number for him. I just like Philly Rowe, and for that reason, that's the only reason, man. It's just I think the potential's really there. I think he could be a problem in this division. We've seen Nico Price kind of fall from grace a little bit as well, so the trajectory of his career is kind of on the downslope.
Yeah.
While Philip Rowe is riding a relatively big win streak, he's strung a couple together. The quality of competition could be better, but I'm excited for that one. Definitely looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I mean Philip Rowe, who I will not call by his nickname, has won 2 in a row. Jason Witt and Orion Kosei. Before that, lost to Gabriel Green. Before that, won his fight on the Contender Series. So it's definitely new. There's some question marks for Philip Rowe, and I think this is his step up. So this will kind of
big step.
for him. But I just like Nico Price. I'm rocking with him.
Yeah, this is going to answer a lot of questions for Philip Rowe, right? This is like kind of you're taking a risk here. It's like, do you really want to ride this train to the top? This is going to answer a lot of questions on Philip Rowe. So I'm really looking forward to this one.
Well, our girl, Big 10-8 fave, Angie Overkill Hill, fighting Emily Ducote. What is this? I gotta look. I actually have to look at how many times Angela Hill's fought this year because I feel like we have spoken about her so many times. Oh, this is only her 3rd fight this year.
You know how many times Kevin Holland's fought this year? This will be his
4th or 5th.
7th.
7th?
Most fights in UFC history over the course of a 12-month span.
Jesus, that's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of output.
Yeah, man. He also he retired at one point too this year. Remember? He threw the towel
at one point. He McGregored us. He McGregored us. He did the fake retirement, which I am so not a fan of. I think that's just so lame. Kevin Holland's fake retire, come out of retirement to fight Khamzat Chimaev, and now you're gonna main event in Orlando, whatever.
No, he retired. I think he retired after Chimaev, right?
Did he retire after Chimaev and then come back?
Because he made it seem like he secured the bag for coming in on short notice.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I'm done.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck it. I'm fucking pulling for the Wonder Boy. I have my reasons. Angie Overkill Hill. I don't know, 14-12 record. Oof.
And yeah, Emily Ducote, I've seen a little bit of her. Decent prospect up the ranks. You have an idea who Vegas likes?
I would imagine that Vegas likes Ducote.
They do.
Yeah.
She's minus 125, though. It's almost a pick 'em. And I don't know if you remember in past episodes, I say if Angela Hill is an underdog, it's just an automatic bet. I don't care who she's fighting. And that's going to remain the same here. Angela Hill plus 105. I'm going to ride her till the wheels fall off. I think she's embodies heart. I think she's just got to stay off the ground. Ducote, I believe, is going to wrestle. Emily's going to wrestle this girl. She's going to try to. And it's just a matter of Angela can stay on her feet. And I think that Angela's faced a lot of competition, right? She's faced Claudia Gadelha. I'm pretty sure she fought Carla Esparza. She just fought a lot of girls who want to take her down. So, she's privy to this. She knows what to expect.
And I think she had said recently that she had kind of started retooling her game and maybe getting a little more competent on the ground. So it'll be interesting to see if that's accurate.
Yeah, I love Angela Hill here.
You wearing an Anakin Skywalker shirt?
I literally said I'm wearing the Anakin retro for UFC Orlando, baby.
I didn't know they made those shirts, but yeah, that is an Anakin Skywalker shirt. Fair enough.
Yeah, it's wild what you can order on eBay after a couple drunk nights, Zach.
That's a good point, John Boy. That is a good point. There's a few there's a few trinkets around my house that would agree with that sentiment. So here we are.
And I don't regret this purchase one bit. It's probably one of the best ones I've made, if we're being quite honest.
Look, it's a statement piece. It's a statement piece. I'm wearing my vintage Iowa wrestling crew neck tonight, so we're both making statements here. I like it.
Yep.
And I'm wearing the Iowa wrestle. I had to wear something wrestling centric because the fisherman, the carpenter, Clay Guida, is fighting Scott Holtzman.
Yeah. It just keeps, dude. These are like great fights. Like, holy shit.
Fights. I mean, Clay Guida, who is 40 years old, has a. I have the tab up here because his record is insanity. 37-22.
Yeah.
He's at almost, I guess, if my math is accurate, this will be his 60th fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's correct.
Yeah, 37 plus 22, 59, right? Yeah, this is his 60th fight. That is complete insane. And when he's not doing these, he does Fury grappling cards for fun.
And I feel like probably half, I don't want to say half, maybe a little bit less than half are under the UFC banner as well.
It's insane.
So
it's
high quality competition. I mean, this guy is as durable as they come. You see that
UFC debut in 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah, after being in Strikeforce, the WEC, and then a bunch of other weird promotions before that. Yeah, Clay Guida is a true legend of the game.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. You got a favorite here?
I can't imagine that Vegas is making Clay Guida a favorite.
No. So they got the I believe ex-professional hockey player, Scott Holtzman.
Yeah.
Is the minus 170. He's the favorite here, right around the same. They got him right around the same number they do as Kevin Holland. This is an interesting fight. I think Holtzman's the rightful favorite, but Clay Guida, man, it's one of those guys, right? One of those guys we don't like to bet against. One of those guys who's going to lay it all on the line. He's going to give it his all. Holtzman doesn't have a great submission game either, right? He's going to want to keep this on the feet. Ooh, this is a tough one.
I'm going to tell. So this is another heart one for me, as you probably imagine. And my heart is all in with Clay Guida, especially after getting to meet him earlier this year and getting to meet his dad, which was kind of a strange night, getting to meet Clay Guida and his dad and Alex Caceres all at the same time and take their picture outside the 2300 arena in Philadelphia. It was very strange. It was meeting Clay Guida was exactly what you would have expected it to be. It was very brief and it was all energy. And the dude walked out with like his 19 walking around just like blasting from a speaker that was attached to a 1986 Chicago Cubs duffel bag, blasting like 1980s hair metal, just bouncing around in his like warm-up sweats with his singlet on under it, looking like your junior varsity wrestling coach who just never let go of the glory days. All energy, very brief interaction, but I got to shake Clay Guida's hand, which was a big moment for me. Yeah, and honestly, Scott Holtzman is 39 years old. Clay Guida is 40. So I don't think there's like this old man dog here. These guys are similarly aged. Scott Holtzman's also been around the UFC for a number of years. And he's not a bad fighter, but he's never been anybody special, I don't think. I'm rocking with Clay Guida here, man. I'm rocking with the Carpenter all day.
Yeah, I don't think I ever hate a plus money, Clay Guida price tag. I can kind of always get behind that. And for the reasons you said, right? It's not like Holtzman's like this young up and coming guy. Like he's a guy that's kind of been there. He's lost to, he hasn't really been able to crack the top 10, right? He gets to the top 10 and he kind of gets put down the ladder and then he makes his way back up again. It's an interesting fight. If I had to bet it, I'm gonna have to side with you here. I'm gonna probably side with the Carpenter at plus 150.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he's just, he's got that pure energy. I mean, at 40 years old, the man's not slowing down. And I don't, I think Clay Guida's best fight days are certainly behind him,
Yeah,
but
he's not making a title run anytime soon.
he's not making a title run, but he's not slowing down. Like, it's not like he's showing his age out there. Like, this dude is still sprinting to the cage with his warm-ups on, right? He's still rocking for the homies who are tucking their sweats into their socks and going out for a run to cut weight. Like, he's still that same dude. I'm rocking with the Carpenter, man. I really am. I don't care if there's logic to it. I'm gonna rock with Guida on this one.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Well, we got Michael Johnson versus Mark Diakase right after. There's not, dude. We haven't talked. We have not skipped a fight yet. We have not glossed over a single fight yet on this card.
They're so good, and there's a couple other ones too that are really good on this card. I mean, Michael Johnson, Mark Diakase, that could be a banger as well. I mean, that's a great that's a great fight. I mean, we don't know what version of Michael Johnson we're gonna get. He's coming off of a win, right? He's looking kind of for a little bit of a resurgence in his career.
Coming off of a loss to Jamie Malarkey.
Okay, it was a split though, right? It was super close.
Loss to Jamie Malarkey,
and then he knocked out
Alan Patrick.
Nugent. Yeah. Yeah. So Michael Johnson's a little bit of a resurgence in his career. I mean, he's making his way up. Closely contested bout in his last outing. Mark Diakase's kind of adopted a wrestling style, which has been interesting. The Bone Crusher has been primarily like a kickboxer, but he's adopted this little wrestling. He's adopted a wrestling to win fights. I mean, he's getting it done. He's winning fights by grappling, and that's exactly how you beat Michael Johnson.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's kind of Michael Johnson's kryptonite. He doesn't fight well off of his back. He can crack with literally anybody. I mean, he knocked out Dustin Poirier. He beat Tony Ferguson when Tony Ferguson was the boogeyman. Yep. Michael Johnson's pretty much a legend in the game.
Yeah.
You have an idea of where this one's lined?
I gotta believe the Bone Crusher is the favorite.
Yeah, man, minus 310.
I think that's the right call.
I do too.
And I don't love it because obviously, again, this is really like old home day for legends in the UFC for guys that you've just been watching for years, right? I mean, I remember watching Michael Johnson fight Gleason Tebow, Melvin Gillard, Edson Barbosa, right? We're going back 7 to 10 years ago that I was watching this dude fight. Obviously, a dude like that, Joe Lawson, like, you love Michael Johnson, right? You love him. But I don't think the resurgence is for real. I don't, and I think Diakase he's a monster on the feet, and now that he's got the wrestling in his game, I think he's going to get it done against Michael Johnson. I don't like to say that, but I think he is.
Yeah, it raises a little bit of an eyebrow for me. It's like you're coming off of a split decision loss to Jamie Malarkey, and then they line you up with Mark Diakase. I don't understand that in terms of like trajectory in the rankings. I feel like Diakase is a levels above both of those guys right now. Interesting one. Interesting matchup to make. I think it's going to be a banger. It's going to be a fun one. Yeah. And I'm going to side with Diakase here, but I don't necessarily love it. Michael Johnson's a tough guy to bet against, just because he could end the fight at any moment, and he kind of lulls you into that type of fight that he likes. Yeah. But look for Diakase to take this to the ground, and if he can do that, he should get the UD here.
Yeah, I think, again, I think logically, I think it's a Diakase one, but if Michael Johnson wins, I'm not going to be upset. I'm going to be happy about that. And Michael Johnson is a Sanford MMA guy, so you don't know. He might be getting that Kill Cliff push. You don't know. They might have given him the new formula for the CBD, might have him firing pistons on a different frequency that we're unaware of. I don't know. Who knows? Who's to say? Who's to say? But I mean, it has the potential to be a good fight. Again, it's just, yeah, it's like I'm watching a lot of my old time favorite fighters go in there, and I don't like nights like that. I don't like watching dudes that I was watching like when I was in my early 20s go out and fight. I feel like there's the potential for it to just be a bad night for my heart. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is.
It's a cruel sport.
It is a cruel sport. There's still heat on this card. Do you want to spend time talking about Darren Elkins, Jonathan Pierce?
I mean, this is what I'll say about the damage. I will always watch a Darren Elkins fight.
Always.
He will always, if you ask me my top 5 favorite fighters, I will always make room for Darren Elkins in the top 5. I love Darren Elkins. I just do. The guy's got tremendous heart. He brings it every goddamn time. When the cards are stacked against him, when the chips are all in on the other side, this guy brings it. Okay.
Yeah.
Cardio for days. Technically, not great. He's not great anywhere. But man, does this guy embody heart?
Yeah.
Talk about just leaving it all in there. Jonathan Pierce, young up and coming guy. Where do you think Vegas has got this one?
I gotta say that Vegas is signed with Jonathan Pierce.
Second biggest favorite on the card behind RDA. Jonathan Pierce, minus 440. Darren Elkins right around that plus 300 threshold, sitting at about plus 290. I'm taking Darren Elkins.
You know,
I am 3-1 dog.
why not, right?
I'm just gonna do it. Pierce could make this look easy and get him out of there early, but as soon as that thing gets out of the first round, your odds go up a little bit more. As soon as it gets out of the second round, your odds go up tremendously. Just because Elkins has a tremendous gas tank, and I've seen Pierce gas a little bit as well. Yeah, man, I like Darren Elkins here.
I do too. And I think, Jonathan Pierce also has a kind of suspicious loss to Joe Lozon. And that wouldn't be suspicious, except it was a 2019 iteration of Joe Lozon. So that raises an eyebrow for me. That's a little bit
Knockout too, right?
TKO. Yes, it
Yeah,
was. That's a little bit, I don't know. That's a little bit sus to me. And again, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there's no more heart, no more toughness than Darren the Damage Elkins. Like that dude he is just a go, go, go until somebody stops him kind of guy. So I'm with you. I'm riding with the damage. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
What do you want to talk about next? There's literally 4 fights that we have not spoken about. And
I'm surprised you're not zeroed in on one of these.
which one you think I should be zeroed in on?
Francis Marshall, does that ring a bell?
Francis Marshall.
That's a Philly boy, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a Jersey City boy.
But he trains out of Philly.
He trains out of Pellegrino MMA.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why did I think he had a Philly attachment?
He may have a Philly attachment, but let's see. I'm gonna pull up where Pellegrino MMA is.
Francis Marshall, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. We'll find out.
He's a Wall Township, New Jersey guy.
Okay.
Yeah, Belmar Boulevard, Wall Township, New Jersey. So that's a little bit more your neck of the woods.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Marcelo Rojo's a beast, by the way. The guy he's fighting. I don't know too much about Marshall. He's got a little bit of hype. Marcelo Rojo's a banger.
Yeah.
That guy brings it. He was on the Ultimate Fighter, going back a couple years. That's a fun fight. I got another one too. I'm surprised you're not zeroed in on.
Which one?
Amanda Ribas, Tracy Cortez.
That was going to be the last one that I kind of wanted to bring up was Ribas Cortez.
That's the only one I got. I didn't even write the other 2 down because I knew we were going to gloss over those.
Yeah.
Tracy Cortez, Amanda Ribas. That's going to be a fun one to look at.
Yeah, going to be a fun one to look at.
You know,
I got to imagine Cortez is the favorite here. Am I right?
It's a pick 'em.
It's a pick 'em. Okay.
It's a pick 'em. Flip a coin, 50-50. I believe Amanda Ribas is going up in weight. She's going up in weight for this one. She is. She's going up. She's going up in weight. She's fighting a bigger girl in
Yeah,
Tracy Cortez. Um, on paper, looking at it, I like Rebos. The weight discrepancy scares me a little bit, though. I don't know. Rebos isn't great off of her back. Tracy Cortez is a wrestler at heart.
yeah.
If Cortez can get this to the ground, which is definitely going to be her game plan, there's going to be problems. But I don't know if she'll be able to get Rebos on the ground. It'll be interesting to see them next to each other at weigh-ins to kind of see the size difference.
Yeah.
But I kind of like Rebos here.
Interesting. I kind of like Cortez here.
I want to see the weigh-ins. I'll put a flyer on it. I want to see the weigh-ins. I want to see him, stand toe to toe. But
Are you saying the homies should check out Sure Picks on Twitter?
yeah, I'm gonna drop another one. Just definitely, I'm gonna drop a little notes on Twitter. What kind of the plays? My five favorite plays of the UFC Orlando card, and yeah, I'll probably drop that Friday night.
Friday night. So everybody check out JSure6, Sure Picks on Twitter. Get that Friday night money line in there. All right. Don't skip it.
Nope.
Tell me you're busy. All right. Get in there. Get on Twitter. Find out where the homie's leaning.
Yep.
I may chime in with something funny. I don't know. We'll see how I'm feeling on Friday night.
It's free picks. If it lines up what you're thinking, if you think, hey, this makes sense, I agree with it. Let's line it up. Let the chopper sing, as they say.
As they say, as John Boy says, let the chopper sing. Anything else on this card we got to talk about?
I think that wraps it up, man. I mean, it's a star-studded lineup. It's
only two fights we didn't talk about.
Literally, there are only two fights we didn't talk about, and we thought this was going to be a shorter card. In terms of news, it may be, but yeah, that was a fun one. I'm excited to see it, and let's make a little bread here.
Yeah, let's stack that cheddar. I'll tell you what I am excited about. I'm taking a little road trip down with so first of all, going to a John Blank seminar that morning, a little jujitsu seminar in the morning. I got to get my cardio in.
Okay, subtle flex. All right.
That's it. Listen, I'm not going to be in the parking lot playing touch butt, skipping jujitsu. You know that about me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to take a little ride down to South Philly.
Okay.
I'm going to grab a little Angelo's Pizza down on 9th and Fitzwater.
Okay.
The highest rated pizza review from Dave Portnoy in the city of Philadelphia is Angelo's.
Oh, well, you don't seem like the type of guy that would take Dave Portnoy's opinion to heart. So that surprises me a little bit.
So I don't take everything the man says to heart, but the man seems to care about pizza. And if there's anything in this world I care about more than MMA, it's probably pizza. I'm a pizza fiend. So I'm gonna take in content for pizza. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna listen to what you're saying. I don't always agree with the pizza reviews, but if you look at the socials for Angelo's down in South Philly, these boys seem like they're about their pizza. They seem like they know their business.
We might need a little bit of a Zach pizza review.
I could do that. I could put a little pizza review together. I've eaten pizza from here to Las Vegas and back. I've eaten pizza in Tennessee. Everywhere I go, every new city I go to, I sample the pizza. You know where I had the worst pizza of my life?
Florida.
No, not Florida. Salem, Massachusetts.
Really?
Absolute dog shit pizza.
Do you know the name? Do you know the name of the place so that our viewers can avoid it?
I think it was UFO Pizza, which if you peep the poster behind me, the I Want to Believe poster with the UFO from the X-Files, that's branding that's going to get me in the door.
Okay, that's fair.
You didn't have to do much for me to give you my seal of approval. That pizza was fucking repulsive.
Yeah.
It was fucking horrible.
I'm a sucker for advertisement, so I don't blame you at all.
That's it. If you're on brand with what I like, and the listeners of this show will know I'm a UFO guy. I have been to the site where Angela Hill's grandparents were abducted in New Hampshire. I'm an X-Files stan from back in the day. I love spooky season. I love Salem, Massachusetts. These guys could have served me fucking Elio's pizza, and I would have been like, this is great. This is awesome. I love it. I'll buy a t-shirt. And the shit that they served was absolutely fucking repulsive.
Horrible. How do you fuck pizza up that bad?
at the end of the day, right? I mean, there's an old expression that bad pizza is like bad sex. Even when it's bad, you still got laid.
Yeah,
Uh, but
exactly.
it's look, I'll
Clear.
rock DiGiorno. I'll throw a Red Baron down, Mama Celeste if I'm in a pinch because I just love pizza. It was that bad.
Interesting.
It was fucked up, man. It was really fucked up.
Yeah,
How
it definitely. I can tell it scarred you a bit.
it did. I've been sitting with that for well over a year. I might have to get into therapy about it. I don't know. Bad pizza really fucks my night up.
Talk
Um,
about it.
and I had a thing I wanted to do where I wanted to get a picture of me outside of the witch's house in Salem, famous spot in Salem, Mass, eating the pizza. And I got the picture, but if you were to see behind the sunglasses on my face, you'd see a look of pain that I had to bite that fucking slice. It was horrible.
Oh,
Oh, it was fucking
got to
brutal.
do it for the gram, though. Of
Got to do it for the gram. I'm always gonna do it for the gram. That's
course.
a law that I live by. How is the pizza down by you? How is the pizza down in Fort Lauderdale?
It's not bad. It's a lot of Northerners coming up from New York and New Jersey, right? So they know what they're doing. I've heard a lot of it's all in the water. I don't know if you've heard this with dough and bagels
Yeah.
that there's something in the water up north. But the pizza's not bad down here. I think you'd be surprised. I think there's some low key banger spots down here. Umberto's got some fire. I can't complain too much.
Listen, next time I'm down, we'll go hit some za. We'll see what we're working with.
Oh
But
yeah,
yes, that is what they say about New York pizza and bagels. It's because New York, like specifically like New York City and Long Island, water comes from a reservoir. And they say that there's something just different about the water. That's what gives you that doughy consistency to your bagels. That's what gives you that fucking perfect pizza crust. But listen, there's other localities that have made inroads. I gotta say, when I came out to Philadelphia in 2008, pizza was real hit or miss. It was rough sledding, but Philadelphia has stepped up its pizza game, and now
it's come a long way.
we got some heaters in Philly for pizza, man. We really do. So I'm gonna get a pie from Angelo's. I'm gonna put the dogs up. I'm gonna watch these fights. I'm gonna watch, all of my adolescent heroes fight and hopefully not lose in horrible fashion. And that's gonna be my Saturday. I'm gonna look at the pictures you're posting live. I'm gonna be green with envy, but that's okay. The homies are winning. That means I'm winning. That's how I live my life.
Love that mentality.
Um, you wanna talk a little bit about the weird news in MMA? There's a couple of weird things going on. You want to start with the pending litigation?
Yeah, I mean, I think we briefly might have grazed over it in the last pod. There were murmurs of it, but Artem Lobov, um, Conor McGregor's right hand man, if you will.
Yeah.
Apparently, they've had a little bit of a bad breakup, and Artem is suing Conor over, I believe, the naming of the Proper 12 whiskey.
Yeah. Suing him for $12 million.
I'll be honest with you, that's a breakup that I did not see coming.
You know, and this is,
I didn't.
I didn't see it coming either. And I'm gonna say I'm a little bit disappointed in Artem, and I'll tell you why.
Wow, taking McGregor's side here.
I am. And there was a time where I was a very big McGregor fan. Obviously, I have since fallen off that bandwagon. But if you get cornered by the Nurmagomedov camp and you get threatened and your homie's response is I'm on my way and he throws a hand truck through a bus window to have your back,
Yeah.
there's brand loyalty there. And I got to tell you, I'm a little bit disappointed in Artem Lobov. I feel like maybe behind closed doors we could have settled this. And McGregor, even now with pending litigation, probably to the chagrin of his attorneys, has taken to social media and said we can fight for the lawsuit. We can just scrap for the lawsuit.
Scrap
So,
for the cash. Yeah.
and that'll be an interesting one to see how that turns out. A little fight for the cash. I don't know. That'll be interesting. So we'll have to we'll stay up to date on our litigation news. There's always some litigation for Conor McGregor. At least it's not criminal this time.
Not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, there's always a possibility that it turns criminal when McGregor's involved. But speaking of McGregor, did you see somebody else is looking for their red panty night?
Who's that?
Patty the Batty calling out McGregor, saying that would be the biggest pay-per-view in UFC history.
Yeah, I mean, the sad part is he's probably not wrong.
Probably
That
not.
that would sell like crazy. That would sell like wildfire. But let's get past Jared Gordon first.
Yeah, well, get
Yeah,
past Flash Gordon first.
yeah, and I mean it's no knock to Gordon, but Gordon's not necessarily a super high up guy in the division either. Um, let's not bite off more than we can chew here, Patty.
Yeah, crawl before you ball.
Speaking of biting off more than you can chew,
Oh my God,
Patty,
talking
you
about
want?
Jake Paul.
I am talking about Jake Paul.
That's that is an interesting one. Yeah, Jake Paul got mad that Patty said Jake Paul's fights were fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Said he would fight him. Patty said, bring $1 million in cash to the Performance Institute, the UFC Performance Institute, and we can get after it. First, before we talk about anything else, do you think Jake Paul will show up with $1 million to the PI?
No.
I don't either. And I think if for no other reason, I don't think he would be allowed in the door.
I think if they actually did box 5 3-minute rounds like Jake Paul did, Jake Paul would eviscerate Patty.
I don't want to agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to sit and really reflect on that one for a while. I think size difference alone, though, probably backs up your suspicion. Although, are we talking fat Patty or fight shape Patty? Because that might change my analysis.
Any version of Patty.
Yeah, I think no matter how you feel about it, I think the UFC's vitriol for Jake Paul is so deep they wouldn't let him in the door of the PI. So I think this is a little bit of an empty call out.
That's very true, especially with a cash cow like Patty.
Yeah, they don't want to see Patty getting pieced
that's
up on YouTube. That's not good for business.
That raises the red flags. Major liability if Jake Paul comes in that building and sleeps that man, which is very well a possibility. But hey, man, props to Jake Paul for calling out another guy that's 80 pounds less than his walk around weight.
Yeah, why not? Right? I mean, it's worked out thus far. Jake Paul's got to be one of the richest athletes of the year. He's got to be.
Yeah, people are buying it. People are.
I heard,
no, yeah, okay.
I heard that there were not that many buys for the Silva fight, so I think that shtick kind of might have run its course. And I'm sure he could find another aging MMA legend to fight and sell that fight, but I think we're starting to see the end of the shtick. He's running out of guys he can do this with. I think at some point, Jake Paul is going to have to box a boxer who is his own size, and we are going to have to just go from there. But that's an issue for another day. But speaking of boxing, did you hear a rumor that Diego Sanchez might be going to Bare Knuckle FC?
Yeah, and potentially fighting an ex-champion of, I'm not sure the weight class. I don't even know the guy, but the fact that he's a boxer, period, and he's stepping in the ring with Diego Sanchez is concerning to me. Diego Sanchez should have hung the gloves up a long time ago. I understand he might need the paycheck. He needs the money. It's a sad thing to see. I hope that doesn't happen. I hope that that contract does not get signed. But I've seen crazier things.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're the UFC, just give Diego Sanchez a job doing something, man. Like,
Yeah,
make a trainer at the PI, something. This is a guy who's
paid his dues.
paid his dues, and his life just went so far off the rails in the last few years. I forget the guy's name, the snake oil salesman who became his sole trainer and his sole corner man, and just really seemed like he derailed Diego Sanchez's fucking life. And then I think, and I don't want to say this as a certainty, but didn't that guy steal a bunch of money then from Diego Sanchez and like run off with a bunch of his money? Diego Sanchez, UFC, if I'm not mistaken, Ultimate Fighter season 1, right? Like that's how far back Diego Sanchez goes. It was Ultimate Fighter season 1, which saved the UFC promotion. And if you're listening to this and you don't know that story, look that story up and find out how the Ultimate Fighter reality TV show saved that fucking promotion from the trash heap, because things were dire. And that kind of really saved it. I believe the coaches were Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture. Um, yeah, just dude, like find a job for Diego Sanchez, please. Give him a check. Let this man get his finances right. He fought in the UFC for fucking ever. Could not be finished. Fight anybody anytime. Clearly, he got caught up in a bad situation. The world does not need to see Diego Sanchez get bloodied up in bare knuckle FC. We don't need it. It's not necessary. Just find another way to do this.
Yeah, no, I agree. We don't need to see that.
Fucking heartbreaking, man. Like speaking of like the guys you grew up watching just getting the short end of the stick. I mean, I get it. There is no old timers day for MMA fighters, right? That just doesn't exist. And there's only so many MMA gyms that can be opened in the world successfully. But Diego Sanchez is a prime example of I think there's got to be some better way to treat these guys after they're done fighting for you in a steel cage. You got to have some better way to treat them.
Yeah,
Uh,
agreed.
we should not be talking about this in the year of our Lord 2022. Should not be
Yeah.
talking about Diego Sanchez in a bare knuckle fight.
Not that his name needs to be said, but I believe his name was Josh Fabia or something like that.
That sounds right.
After I saw the video of Diego hanging upside down, getting hit by the mop, he was getting hit by a wooden stick while hanging upside down. I was like, okay, let's mail this in. That we've seen enough type of thing. And somehow he's still going. He fought Kevin Lee under Eagle FC's
Yeah.
Khabib's MMA promotion in his last fight, and it was kind of a close fight because Kevin Lee tore his MCL and ACL in the first round. So hopefully the fighter does that as well, the boxer that he ends up fighting, if that does happen, that he maybe tears something so that Diego's life isn't.
Pulls a Tony Ferguson, trips over a microphone cord, and blows out his ACL.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the best we can. That's the absolute best outcome we can hope for.
literally.
Oh, you got anything else for this week, John Boy?
I think we wrapped it up. We really got into the bulk of it. That UFC card's heavy. It deserved the attention, and I think that wraps it up.
Let's put a bow on it then for this week. And as always, friends, call your mother, tell her you love her, because we out.
Peace.